Krishna. Omagyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshunatmai Sri. My association with His Holiness Keshava Bharati Das Goswami Maharaj goes back a long time. We were together in Vrindavan during Srila Prabhupada's last days, those momentous days. And then Maharaj came to Hare Krishna land, Juhu, and we did service together there. And then Tamal Krishna Goswami and I got the palace at Govardhan, which His Holiness Keshava Bharati Das Goswami Maharaj refurbished. And we've gotten to associate there, service together there. But I thought to discuss what I consider to be one of Maharaj's greatest services and preaching feats, which was making his mother into a devotee and facilitating her journey back to Godhead. The account of this service appeared in an article in Back to Godhead magazine, and then later, a similar version, but I would say maybe, I don't want to say better edited, but a similar version appeared in my book, Life's Final Exam, Death and Dying from the Vedic Perspective. And since I mentioned editing, I should say that Keshava Bharati Das Goswami Maharaj is a fantastic editor. He's edited, he was part of the team, brilliant team that edited Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita. And he has edited many of His Holiness Shivaram Swami Maharaj's books, which I understand is not an easy job.
Say that again, Maharaj.
And I love Keshava Bharati Maharaj's loyalty to Srila Prabhupada and his faith in the editing of Srila Prabhupada's books by His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj and Dravida Prabhu, which I share. And I feel very confident with Maharaj on the, I don't know if they've changed the name, but the revisions review.
It's Editorial Review Board, ERP.
Okay.
I like the RR better, but anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah, Editorial Review Board. Because that, faith in Srila Prabhupada's books is so essential. And in that regard, Keshava Bharati Maharaj has done, wonderful service with his daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. I was fortunate to attend many of them in person in Houston, and even a few in Dallas, many in Houston. And they're like so nourishing. And he maintained that service. And then on top of that, done, I guess you could say, audio books, readings of Srila Prabhupada's books in a very expert way, excellent way. And that will really, facilitate devotees hearing of Srila Prabhupada's books and encourage them hear Srila Prabhupada's books, which is so important. It's such a wonderful service. So now I'm going to read a little about Maharaj's amazing service to his mother, and how he, as you could say, delivered her. So, there's a lot to this because, Maharaj was in Bombay, and he went back and forth between Bombay and Oroville, California.
You got it right. You got it right.
Yeah, where his mother was. And so I'm just going to begin from the point where Dr. Joy, it's an ironic name, Dr. Joy, revealed to us that, I'll be reading this, so it's Maharaj speaking, that his mother was terminally ill with probably no more than 1 year to live. The next day, my mother couldn't remember having had the appointment, what to speak of the diagnosis. For more than 1 year, our conversations had prepared us for this inevitability, but it was coming much sooner than expected. Following a few days of unconscious denial and deep philosophical and emotional exchanges, she finally understood and accepted that she was terminally ill. She was simple in her approach to matters of life and death, but being completely honest, she could grasp the truth when it was presented straightforwardly. After consulting with Tamal Krishna Goswami and Shivaram Swami, two of my best friends, with whom I had been keeping in touch almost daily, I decided to stay on as her caretaker until the end. While talking, my mother stayed alert and lucid, apparently in good spirits. But as soon as we stopped talking, she either fell asleep or became overwhelmed by lamentation. To no avail, I tried again to convince her to read her own spiritual books. Finally, she confessed a crisis of faith. She didn't know what she was supposed to be doing. She had become overly dependent on her daily routine. Forced to abandon it, she couldn't focus her mind and had doubts about God's existence. I decided, and this is the whole thing is really amazing. In fact, at the beginning of his article in Back to Godhead, Keshavarti Maharaj calls it a miracle, and what happened actually was a miracle. I decided to make an experiment by reading to her the Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada's summary study of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes the pastimes of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Her first reaction was, "What are you reading to me? A fairy tale or a nursery rhyme?" I explained that these were the pastimes of God, descriptions of what was happening in his kingdom. Her only duty now was to hear about these things, the only subject matter powerful enough to absorb her mind. She sat back and listened. I began reading for a half hour daily, gradually increasing to 3 hours. Difficult as it was to keep her attention, I strained to read loudly and forcefully, with as much dramatic flair as I could. And as we have experienced, Keshavarti Maharaj has a dramatic flair when it comes to reading, which is very beneficial. One day, about 13 chapters later, I looked up from the book to see her practically on the edge of her seat, eyes wide like saucers. Her face changed. "Mom, it looks like you're enjoying this story," I said. "Oh, yes, it's wonderful. I've never experienced anything quite like this. And you're reading so nicely." "Maybe we should go back to the beginning of the book," I suggested. "Oh, yes, please do. I have so many questions." Hearing Krishna's pastimes from Srila Prabhupada had lifted her out of her body. I got out my laptop and went to the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I carefully explained whatever I had learned from Srila Prabhupada about the science of Krishna consciousness. This went on for hours every day until May 30th, when the crisis arose. And and Maharaj was playing Srila Prabhupada's singing and chanting. Now, here we come to a sort of turning point. On the evening of June 5th, the name Nandarani popped into my mind while I was chanting with my mother. Then it dawned on me that my mother had become a devotee. This is amazing, I thought. And I also think it was amazing how by Maharaj's association, his mother, who apparently was just an ordinary American housewife, from a completely different culture. Then it dawned on me that my mother had become a devotee. This is amazing, I thought. Before retiring that night, I looked at her and said, "Hare Krishna, Mom." She responded without hesitation, saying for the first time in her life, "Hare Krishna." The sound was so powerful, I felt moved by its force. I had been keeping in touch with Shivaram Swami by email. And the next day I received a message from him. He assured me I was doing the best thing by staying at my mother's side. Krishna had lightened my responsibilities in Bombay so that I could do that. This will mend your relationship with your mother, Shivaram Swami wrote, and help you in your emotional and hence spiritual life. I am 100% clear that you should continue what you are doing. And I hope that when I pass away, I will have the kind of loving care she has. And then Shivaram Swami gave a message for Keshavarti Maharaj to read to his mother, in which I won't read the whole thing, but one important point. Since you really have nothing to do at this point other than think about Krishna, try to focus your mind on his name, form, activities, whatever attracts you most. By your son's association and such effort, no doubt you will achieve a most glorious destination soon. I will pray for your success at this momentous hour and intently follow your progress closer to Krishna. Then Shivarami suggested to me that my mother be initiated. She should get every spiritual boost she can, he wrote. If she takes it seriously, I will give her a name. What do you think? I wrote back telling him that the name Nandarani had come into my mind.
One detail, Maharaj, this was edited. One detail.
Okay.
I sent a message to Shiva Maharaj that I was thinking that she was becoming a devotee. I mentioned the name that came into my mind. And he had sent me that message that she should get initiated. And they crossed in cyberspace. That's what actually happened.
Interesting.
It was unbelievable. And I, in tears, I took that letter to my mom and I read it to her. And she said, "Oh yes, this is what I need." And I just practically fell on the ground with tears. It was an amazing experience.
Wow. It's so touching and moving. Wow. So, and Shivaram Swami accepted her as his disciple. And he wrote, I'm always amazed at how Krishna works so mysteriously. Srila Prabhupada says a good child indicates that the parents must be good. Our dear Bhagavad Ashraya Prabhu quoted, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and related that to Keshava Bharati Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. And in a way, we're now seeing it related to Keshava Bharati Maharaj and his beloved mother, who achieved such a glorious destination. And after explaining the meaning of her new name, Shivaram Swami continued, try to absorb yourself in the thoughts of Krishna. Of course, these are all good instructions for us. And one day we all will approach that final moment. That is possible by always chanting God's holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
As much as possible, chant aloud or in your mind to yourself. If you do so carefully, you will understand that Krishna is not different from his name. And by this chanting, he will transport you back to Godhead.
Haribol.
Srila Prabhupada said, quote, this is the test. If one chants Krishna's name at the time of death, he is guaranteed to go back to him. So try to concentrate on this chanting until the last breath. Krishna has sent Keshava Bharati there to help remind you when the time comes to chant. Remember to follow his instructions, to follow his direction when he instructs you. Keshava Bharati is not just your son, he is your guru. He has saved you at the last moment and given you the greatest treasure, Krishna. He is a fitting son, for he has repaid his debt to you. Now you are indebted to him. That debt you can repay by chanting always. I am your initiator guru, and he is your instructor guru. So now we are together. May you receive the full blessings of Lord Krishna. I feel happy that we have met like this, and I leave you in the capable hands of my good friend, your son and well-wisher. So, yeah, there's more in this wonderful account. Um, I'll just read a little more, just for the sake of time. My mother became sweet and charming company. One morning, when I said Hare Krishna to my mother, she at once responded with Hari Bol and smiled and smiled a kind of knowing smile. I was speechless. I wondered where she had heard that phrase. Then I remembered that my son had stayed with her for a few months while attending college nearby. She must have heard it from him, because his habit is to say Hari Bol more than Hare Krishna. I was amazed to witness her transformation. Meanwhile, Maharaj was doing these like public programs. So I moved the weekly program to our home, and after hearing me lead kirtan, lecture, and answer questions for the first time in a public program, my mother made me promise that I would, quote, go on preaching Krishna consciousness. What a wonderful blessing, instruction and blessing. By June 10th, my mother had withdrawn almost completely. I played Srila Prabhupada's tapes to her constantly, as she had become most attached to hearing him chant before she withdrew. Her vital signs were strong because she had lived a fairly clean life. I lamented that she hadn't cultivated Krishna consciousness more in this life. I kept reading to her descriptions of the spiritual world and trying to convince her to let go of this miserable material body and give herself to Krishna. All right, Nandarani, I kept saying, the runway is cleared for your takeoff. You have taxied enough. Now pull down the throttle and just go back to Krishna. She would sometimes move her mouth to indicate she wanted Srila Prabhupada's chanting to continue. I knew everything was in Krishna's hands, but I kept trying to absorb her in transcendental sound until her last breath. I read to her Shivaram Swami's letter numerous times, and that helped her regain her focus while she was conscious. She cried out Krishna's name in helplessness a number of times. I had complete faith that she had become eligible for a much better situation, or maybe even go back to Godhead. My dear mother, Srimati Nandarani Devi Dasi, departed peacefully sometime between 1:30 and 2:30 a.m. on July 11th, 1997. So I thought to read this because, I mean, it's said that a Vaishnava is a touchstone, and we can see how by his mother's association with him, Nandarani Devi Dasi became a devotee and was absorbed in Krishna consciousness during her last weeks and months, and definitely would have achieved an exalted destination. I think she went back to Godhead, but she definitely would have achieved a very auspicious destination. And I think that it's wonderful that Keshavarti Maharaj did this. In a way, it was a bold decision. You know, with his responsibilities in Bombay and But I think he was exemplary as a son, and he's been exemplary in practically every aspect of Krishna consciousness. And yeah, but I thought this might be something that many of our devotees who are present for this meeting might not have been aware of. And it was, such a glorious, such a glorious service that Maharaj did for his mother, and such an extraordinary service to bring her to Krishna consciousness. Such an amazing way. So Maharaj is like a touchstone. He's touched all of our lives, and that's why we're here. And he will continue to touch our lives by the transcendental vibrations that emanate from his mouth, and by his excellent example in Krishna consciousness. So again, Maharaj, we love you. We pray that you'll be with us for many, many more years to come, so that you can continue to inspire and enliven us and enlighten us in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your service.
Maharaj, Hare Krishna, all glories to you and your service to Srila Prabhupada. And you are also the perfect example of one who is loyal to Prabhupada through thick and thin. Hare Krishna, thank you so much. I'm deeply, deeply touched that you could think to bring that little story to life in front of all these exalted souls. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Very beautiful. Very meaningful.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you so much for, it's very early for you, and still you are here live with us. It's so kind. And you're making everyone very happy, especially Maharaj. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Sadhus. So, there are still many more that would like to say something, but of course we cannot go on forever as we would like to. We have Radhika Nagara, he would like to say a few words. Is that possible? Or is that okay, Maharaj?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay, go ahead. Unmute. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribo, Radhika Nagar, Haribo, Haribo.
Nanda pranams. Namami Spadaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Srimate Keshava Bharati Das Goswami Nityamani. I wrote an offering, but I just like to say that I feel so fortunate to be here. And it's just like the whole event is having such a kind of softening of the heart. It's like I'm massaging my heart. And that kind of represents you for me, that impact, which goes beyond words, or beyond any glorifications. I just feel very touched by everybody's offerings and by your presence. So I'll make an effort to read my offering. Sorry to be a little bit emotional. I just don't know why, but I resonate with everything that is being said by so many different devotees. I'm currently in Spain with my father also, I came also to read to him. I don't know, he's old. Now Giriraj Maharaj speaking about this event. Everything is being said, it just kind of resonated so much with me. I'm halfway through the Krishna book with my father, trying to kind of follow in your footsteps. And anyway, so thank you, Maharaj, for this opportunity. I'll read my offering. All glories to your appearance in this world. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Last year's Vyasapuja seems so recent, almost as it happened a month or two ago. It has been the fastest year that I can remember, and I feel a little sad that we had less personal association. There has been a lot happening on your side with, your audio recordings and hip replacement, which we're really so happy that it successfully took place. Plus the inability to meet for our yearly retreat in Govardhan, which I so dearly miss. My life has also taken like a new turn with the birth of Nadia, who is just running around here right now. At the same time, you are available to us daily through your live daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, which the devotees are praising in so many ways. And it's such a, contribution to the movement. So this year I'm writing to you from my father's home, and being here is, and seeing the lack of spiritual direction increases my appreciation for the gifts of Krishna consciousness, many of which you've given me over the last 14 years. I wrote this before today, and yes, this event is perfectly exemplifying this. And I feel your presence here in my father's home, like, and the presence of the devotees, it's just like being there. So it's really, it shows your potency, actually. So I would like to thank you for reminding me of the simplicity of Krishna consciousness and the importance of focusing on hearing and chanting. The following quote particularly reminds me of you and the impact that you have had on my life. Therefore, one who is engaged without a relationship with Krishna is certainly always in distress and is without peace. However much he may make a show of peace and spiritual advancement in life. Krishna consciousness is a self-manifested peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna. By your example and precept, you remind me that attaining that self-manifested peaceful condition should be the parameter by which to measure my thoughts, my words, and my actions. Your association is comforting because it shows us that Krishna consciousness is so simple. At the same time, it is humbling because it is not easy, particularly to the standard that you have maintained over 48 years. I remember Tribhuvannath Prabhu quoting Srila Prabhupada saying that Krishna consciousness is so simple that you'll miss it. And your life is an example of that simplicity. You focus on the core aspects of Krishna consciousness, maintaining a clear mind through strict sadhana and a regulated lifestyle, with a strong faith in the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, which you constantly contemplate through your readings, listening to classes, your various services, and your selective Vaishnava association. I beg to apologize for my offenses and mistakes, and I pray and hope that you keep a little space in your heart for the fallen Radhika Nagaradas, who often makes the simple and easy complicated. Praying for your mercy and kindness, for protection from Maya, and for the strength to attain Krishna consciousness. Thank you for the blessing, for blessing this world with your presence, and thank you for creating this space for us to experience that peaceful, self-manifested condition of the mind, which I don't have access to. Thank you.
Thank you, Radhika Nagar. That was very deep and very thoughtful and very realized. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Very beautiful. We do have one more recorded offering from a very dear associate. I would like to play it now because I don't know how long we're going to go on for. Is that possible, Jasmine?
Of course.
And who is it? Can you let us know?
Maybe we should find out. Vancha
There he is.
Oh, no.
Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I offer my humble obeisances to His Holiness Keshav Bharati Das Goswami, my best friend, who is directly under the protection of the divine nature. As Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita, Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashrita bhajantyananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. The great souls, and His Holiness Keshav Bharati Maharaj is a great soul, are under the protection of the divine nature. The reason that Keshav Bharati Maharaj is a great soul and therefore a teacher for many and a friend to all is that his heart is fully invested in following Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara. There's not a single space between Srila Keshav Bharati Maharaj and the instruction. There's no gap whatsoever. He's fully taken shelter. I've known Maharaj since I joined the temple in San Francisco in 1973, and he was, and is, 10 years older than I, means that he is an elder to me, and still is, and I gravitated towards his association, and he gave me, and has always given me, his kind guidance, friendship, and shelter. We started off by going on traveling Sankirtan together all across America. And we traveled in a van and stayed in Newman centers at the universities. Those are Catholic outposts. And Maharaj was always expert at getting us a place where we could stay. We'd cook there. Then we go out on Sankirtan all day long. We also did the airport together, meaning we did book distribution at the airport. We did all over the Bay Area, Air Force bases and so forth, and then also in Chicago and many places around the world. And for me, Maharaj has always been my point of reference for how to follow Srila Prabhupada with complete fidelity, because he's fidelity to Srila Prabhupada personified. He also is the one who brought me to Govardhan Hill. Krishna brought Maharaj to Govardhan Hill because he's qualified to be there. And he prayed to Giriraj Maharaj, the mountain, to have shelter there. And then Giriraj brought him there. And not only brought him there, but gave him service to building the unparalleled ashram that Maharaj, Anasit Krishna Maharaj, worked on for many, many years in austere conditions that most people couldn't survive even for a few hours. They did it for years. And it's Maharaj's favorite place. I see when he's there, he's at home. That's where he belongs in the spiritual world in Govardhan, at the foot of Govardhan Hill. And just near Radhakund, that's where he thrives, because that's his consciousness. Keshav Bharati Maharaj is always absorbed in reading Srila Prabhupada's books. That's become quite obvious. But even before it became quite obvious and that people could tune in to listen to him, you should know that he's always been doing that, hearing and chanting from Prabhupada's books. He taught me how to do it. We did it since the very beginning. Chanting chapters together, hearing Srila Prabhupada's books through and through. And he has now very fortunate followers around the world whom he gives advice to. And I hear his advice that he gives to many of you and to others because we discuss things sometimes. And it's so refined, the advice Maharaj gives, that anyone who takes shelter of Maharaj will get the most needed kinds of instructions that soothe the soul, give one spiritual intelligence, and very practical instruction about how to conduct one's life in Krishna consciousness, how to overcome difficulties, how to deal with people in social situations and so forth. I can say that every one of the God brothers that I have, that I know, God brothers and God sisters, love Keshav Bharti Maharaj because of his soft-hearted nature, soft-hearted in spiritual, as in Druta Chitta, as in Evam Vrata Swa Priyanama Kirtya Jatanarago Jita Chuta Uchara. Bhagavatam says one who chants Hare Krishna constantly, and Maharaj does, either vocally or in his mind, such a person's heart will melt. And Maharaj has that quality of a melted heart. So on this day of His Holiness Keshav Bharti Maharaj's Divine Appearance Day, I'm so grateful to know you, Maharaj, to be your friend, to have been the recipient of your instructions, your association. We wrote a book together. That was the happiest time in my life. We were together practically constantly, 4 months. Not 4 months, F-O-R, for many months. And that is one of the most edifying experiences I've had. Maharaj has stayed in our home many times, and of course, wherever he goes, as is mentioned in the Bhagavatam from Yudhishthira to Vidura, Bhavadvida Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirtha Kuvantis Tirtani Swantakstena Gadabrata. That is, that wherever a person of such spiritual stature as Maharaj goes, he turns that place into a holy place of pilgrimage because he carries Krishna within his heart. I remember when he was staying here during the time that he was editing the Brihat Bhagavatamrita along with Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu and Jayadvaita Swami, he would sit for hours and read it out loud. Sometimes we'd put a speaker on so that it would go through the whole house, and other times devotees would come over to hear the readings. And he literally transformed our lives, pulled us out of ignorance, just by his presence and the consistency of the vibration that he made. But that's what he does. All of you who are his followers are the most fortunate in the world, in my opinion, to have received such a guru who is a bona fide spiritual master in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whom Srila Prabhupada smiled on and is still smiling on, who's a favorite of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as stated in Shastra. Krishna says it in the Bhagavad Gita that one who spreads my message to the devotees is most dear to me. It's irrefutable evidence, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu especially was compassionate to those devotees who were compassionate to others. So Srila Keshav Bharti Maharaj is compassion personified. I worship this day that you appeared in the world. I love you, Maharaj. Thank you for keeping me close and never kick me away. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Gaur Premanande Haribo.
Don't ask me to talk now.
I won't. Jai, it's great for Sheshika Prabhu ki Jai. Wonderful. To have a best friend like that, it's something. Hare Krishna. So, dear devotees, what are we to do? We are now like more than half hour over time. And I would, there are some more, I'm sure maybe everybody would like to speak. I don't know if that's really like physically possible. So is there anyone who really feels the burning at, yes, I want to say something still? Then you please come forward, be bold, seize the moment. Unmute yourself and just speak.
Yeah, Rasika Siramani.
Rasika Siramani wants to
Oh,
speak.
yes, he is entitled, I would think. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
And Rasika Siramani, for those who don't know or don't remember, he's working on the editing of the Chaitanya Charitamrita audio recordings that Maharaj has been patiently, diligently recording over many months. And Rasika Sirmani Prabhu is a tech expert, and he's dedicated himself. He used to be a monk of some kind. No. Isn't it, Prabhu? Weren't you a monk before?
Yeah. Eastern
Yes.
Orthodox monk
Oh, just see. So really sincere in his search
for
for
8 years.
wow, for the Lord, service to the Lord, and just see how Krishna has reciprocated with you. How nice, how amazing, and how you are so dedicated, being an elderly brahmachari, moving from your continent of birth to sit in that room and just work on it to give the world this highest nectar.
12 hours a day.
Amazing. 12 hours a day. That's just beyond.
Nobody else could do it. Nobody that I know could do it except for him.
Well, it's just, so well. That's your reputation and goes before you. Now we, of course, would like even more to hear from you.
Well, I have to say that Guru Maharaj is the wind in my sails in all of this. I don't think that I could be doing it without being here in his presence, and it's almost surreal. I don't know how I wound up here.
You wound up here by the grace of Dolamora Prabhu, who did something that other
Yes.
administrators could not do in a year, and he did it in just a couple of weeks. And now he and Abhaya are here on religious worker visas, which are extendable, and we're going to do this. We're going to record all of Prabhupada's major works. Chaitanya Charitamrita is almost done. He just finished the corrections. We're about to enter into a marathon together to do a final proof hearing. Then there will be the what do they call that? When the mastering of the sound, and then hopefully, definitely this year, but hopefully no more than 2-3 months.
Yeah.
It should be out and available to the devotees, and it's going to be a game changer.
Yes.
We selected this book first because of a survey that was done in a leadership conference in Mayapur that showed that hardly anybody has read Chaitanya Charitamrita. And it is the essence of all teachings. And Prabhupada stopped the translation of the Bhagavatam to finish the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then he sent us out on the streets and airports with single volumes of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's how important it was to him. I already told the story about how we got the first one, but anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
So, all know now that I came from this other tradition, which is very similar in some ways, and in others, nowhere near complete. But when I came to stay with the devotees in Denver at the ashram there, I didn't know how. I was very attracted to Krishna consciousness, but I didn't know how I was going to do this, because the books tell you that you have to surrender to a guru, and that there is no real progress without surrendering to a guru. And of course, at that time too, I thought that I was somehow some kind of a special person and somewhat enlightened. And I am coming more and more to realize how much grace and mercy I've received through our relationship. And you truly have become the wind in my sails and the light to my darkness, and the order amidst confusion, my own confusion and chaos. And you're the light, definitely the light of my life. And I want to serve you all the way to the end. And actually, I'm looking forward to that service and being there with you for all of eternity.
Hare Krishna.
And I'm so grateful for all the mercy you've shown me. What was in my heart to really say in that regard is that if anyone hesitates to fully give their heart and mind over, not that I have completely done that, although it seems like each year passes by and it becomes deeper and deeper relationship. But I was asked once by somebody, how do you know that Krishna consciousness is real? And I thought about that for quite some time, and I came to the realization that I know it's real because it gives the experience that it promises. And now, even more and more, I'm becoming convinced that the only way to get that experience is by full surrender to your Guru Maharaj. And it just keeps getting better and better. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Thank you very much.
Haribol.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
You're not only talking, but you are living your words. So it's very powerful.
When we met in Denver, he had just come just a few days before that. He answered an advertisement actually that one of the Denver devotees put in. What's the name of that website?
Craigslist.
Craigslist.
Yeah.
Really?
All sorts of crazy things go on Craigslist. This happened to be a winner. And so he came and he was there for a couple of days. And then I came there and there were a bunch of devotees in the lawn in front of the house that I was going to stay in. And I came up the stairs and I went by him and I looked right into his eyes. And later he told me that he experienced that this is my spiritual master.
Yes.
Instantaneously.
The most profound experience, spiritual experience I've ever had.
Yeah. So this is all Srila Prabhupada's mercy. It's all Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy that devotees have taken birth all over the world and are just waiting to be picked up. And now that this pandemic has turned the whole world upside down, you can be sure that there are more devotees ready to be picked up even than before. And it is our duty to find them. And a shotgun approach, although the mass distribution of books is the way, I don't know who this is. But we need to find the devotees who have read the books and have been purified, and then give ourselves to them. We have to take time to get to know people, and we have to give them the philosophy and the taste of hearing about Krishna, his pastimes, his instructions, in a way that will touch their hearts and melt their hearts so that they can become devotees also. This is our duty to Srila Prabhupada. This is what he was doing. He sacrificed his whole life to come at an advanced age and picked up so many people and even people that haven't joined yet. The seeds have been placed because the books are out there. We need to continue to distribute these books in mass to the world, because now, as he told us, the world will polarize and it will become worse before it gets better. But we need to be there for them, for the people, because the time will come. Now we can see how it could be not so long away, that millions of people will come for shelter. And we have to be prepared. Yes. And we prepare ourselves by giving ourselves to Srila Prabhupada and to read his books and repeat what he said. This is what Guru means. Just learn the Bhagavad Gita and repeat it without changing it to others. Maybe in our own words, in time and circumstance, but not to change, not to add or subtract anything. And that will make devotees and it will make gurus, as we read in the beginning of the day today from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I mean, somebody's really insisting. Hello, Hare Krishna. Oh, thank you. When's it coming? On Friday is perfect. Thank you very much. And thank you for calling. It's 126 Stade Street. Yes, flat 8, Sutherland House. CT 21 6DY. And we thank you very much because we know it took a long, it wasn't easy to get it here because of the shipping crisis in the world. But we hope that you stay healthy and safe. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Bye-bye. Cheers.
It's another offering.
That's how you do them, bro. That's how you do them. Everybody.
Beautiful. Very, very, very meaningful, Maharaj. We have to be there for people and give ourselves to Srila Prabhupada.
Anywhere, anytime. You're ordering something online, talk to the people. Get them even if you don't say directly, make them favorable, make them happy, make them think, I just met the nicest person I've ever met. This person's different. And it's working. And it will work. Sure thing.
Right. Great. So if everybody is still able to sit, we do have a special request of His Grace Patita Pavanandas, because he has the offering of His Grace Shyamsundar from Houston, who would also like to glorify Maharaj on this appearance day. So Prabhu, please read the offering. Shyamsundar Prabhu is the temple president for many, many years of an amazing temple. Actually, it's the most beautiful temple, it has been said, in America. No offense to New Vrindavan or anyone, but the wonderful deity Shri Radha Nila Madhava, almost as high as Shri Radha Madhava in Mayapur. And Shyamsundar Prabhu has done a wonderful job in many areas. He's a disciple of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami. And Tamal Krishna Goswami used to say about him that he has faith in Guru. It's very deep. So he wants to also appreciate Maharaj. So please let us hear what he has to share.
Hare Krishna Patita Pavana, Hare Krishna Gaur Hari.
Hare
Gaur
Krishna.
Hari. What a nice name. Patita Pavana, Gaur Hari.
How gorgeous you
Nice.
are.
Pretty sweet. Okay.
So this is the offering of Shyamsundar Prabhu. My dear Keshava Bharati Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisances at your divine lotus feet on this most auspicious day of your divine appearance day. There is no doubt that you are an eternal associate of Srila Prabhupada and dear friend of Goswami Maharaj. What an excellent life you have exhibited. He uses many exclamation points as well. It is simply remarkable. Your determination can never be shaken. You are really exemplary You are a really exemplary disciple of Srila Prabhupada, endowed with so many extraordinary qualities. I have personally witnessed your simplicity, humility, true to your word, kind, and always try to help the fallen souls like us. Your determination and setting an example to read Srila Prabhupada's books is outstanding. Despite my obstacle, you remain stalwart. Your editing talent is superb, and we can relish those H.H. Shivaram Swami books eternally. Your audiobooks are out of this world, where it's very distinct and special because each word comes out from your loving heart, and it reflects in each sentence. Message spoken with a pure heart is or has a potency to create a spontaneous feeling of love to the listener and soothing to the heart. I have many remembrance of our time together, and now we are physically separated. I remember and relish those moments. Serving you was an utmost pleasure to my heart and mind, especially when my Guru Maharaj is not physically present in this world. I feel satisfied serving you and feel the presence of my Guru Maharaj. I know that Goswami Maharaj will be happy to see me serving you nicely. Your qualities are unlimited, and truly, you are an exalted Vaishnava to be associated with. Even a single moment of that pure association can deliver the fallen soul like us. Please bestow your kind mercy on this most fallen soul, so can remain dedicated to serve the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, and following in the footsteps of my Guru Maharaj to make best use of this human form of life. I sincerely pray to Sri Sri Radha Nilamadhava to keep you healthy so we can learn so many things from you and get more and more opportunity to render service at your divine lotus feet. Please engage me as you desire. Your loving embraces and your divine touch may stay with me eternally, and pray on this special day that our relationship grow more and more deeper in coming years. Please forgive me if I have committed any offense at your divine lotus feet, knowingly or unknowingly. Please keep me at the dust of your lotus feet. I am eternally indebted for your kindness toward this fallen soul. Your very insignificant fallen servant, Hare Krishna, Shamasundar Das.
Hare Krishna. Jai. Shyamasundar ki jai.
Very nice and beautifully read also, Prabhu. Very clear. Thank you so much. We do have a Pundarik Prabhu.
Hello.
I know is very dear to Maharaj as well, and his good wife. Now business hours are opening.
Thank you very much. I just got a phone call, and I'm taking it on my watch, and it's Hari Ballab from Houston. And Hari Ballab, I'm right in the middle of a program. I guess you could say it's a birthday party. Some people call it something else, but for me, it's just a birthday party.
Okay, I'll just say only three things, Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada, Vyasapuja, Nayaka ki jai. Srila
Jai.
Vyasapuja, Nayaka ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada, Vyasapuja, Nayaka ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Hari Ballab. Hari Ballab ki jai. The service of Hari Ballab to its TKG ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Haribol. Yes, they're all relishing the sound of your voice right now. Haribol.
Hari. Jai. Yes. Fortunate Vaishnavi couple. Vaishnav couple.
Thank you, Maharaj, and all the Vaishnavas present. Please accept our humble obeisances.
Oh,
Guardian angels
my guardian angels are here. Hare Krishna, Pundarik, Hare Krishna Devi Dasi.
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna, Swami Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
We are so blessed to be a small part of this such an amazing
Birthday
festival.
Party. Festival, yeah. Maharaj, we mentioned jewels and diamonds, and what really makes the jewel and diamond special is the gold surround that it's put in that really enhances the jewel. And Srila Prabhupada left a lot of gold behind in the form of his disciples. And I thank you and Giriraj Maharaj and the other Bhagavatashraya Prabhu for being such wonderful gold holders of Srila Prabhupada's jewel and being such a wonderful example to us all. I want to sort of mention a little pastime which I have mentioned before, but with a slightly different thought, and stretch back to Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Dandavat Pade Charana Darya Alingana Kaila Prabhu Tanre Uttana. So when Ramananda Rai fell flat, touching the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord immediately raised him to his feet and embraced him. And this, because I'm going through the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya with my Guru Maharaj's classes on Lord Chaitanya's travels. And I suddenly realized something about a pastime when you came to Sri Vasangan with His Holiness Sri Brahma Swami. And when I went somewhere with His Holiness Sri Brahma Swami, then you very kindly, as we heard earlier, you were so personable that you were left alone in the house with my wife and children. And just as Mahaprabhu here, he met Ramananda Rai and he dispensed with the social etiquettes of not touching or going near the Kayashta Brahmin. And he embraced him, and he really shared that mercy. And you very kindly, when you were left at home, you didn't run away for a 4-hour japa walk or go lock yourself in your room. Instead, you went into the kitchen, as you know, with your book, and you sat reading to my wife and children whilst the offering was going on. And this cooking was going on, and this dispensing, let's say, with social etiquette is so sweet and so kind, and I'm realizing more and more the mercy and the good fortune of knowing you, and I'm so happy to serve you in any way, as you know. And over the years, whenever we've spoken to you, you have always come out with the perfect verse, the perfect purport from Srila Prabhupada's books to answer every question, every point without fail. And you've become such an expert of Srila Prabhupada's books and purports. And you use that skill with such competency that it's amazing. And I want to publicly thank His Grace Chakradhari Prabhu, my very good friend, and for his skill in the art of surgery, in helping you, and indeed his good family in helping to look after you and nurture you through the 2 operations this year. And I really want to thank you for your kindness, and your considering me a friend. I feel most fortunate. I feel totally unqualified for the comments that you make or the friendship that you give, but I fall flat at your lotus feet, as does my dear wife, Hare Krishna Devidasi.
I'd just like to say, I was not fortunate, like Pundarik Prabhu, to come and see you the last time I visited you. But when he came home, I had the most happy husband in the whole world. It wasn't just that I was happy to see him back, but he was just so happy. And he said, he said, Maharaj gave me such an embrace. And he said, he's so much taller, and and looking so strong and so well. And it was just such a lovely homecoming to hear that from his mouth. So thank you so much for being so strong.
I'm doing the exercises that he does religiously, 3 times a day, without fail. I've got witness.
Maharaj.
Maybe once, or since you've been, maybe 1 or twice, I missed 1 time, but 3 times a day religiously, and it's helping me a lot. As are the explanations you gave to me of what's actually happening. Knowledge is, all knowledge is coming from Vedas, and all knowledge is usable in Krishna consciousness. And the knowledge that you give, the way you articulate it, is so profound that I always feel uplifted and fortified and edified whenever I've been with you. Thank you so much for being.
Maharaj, you've been so strong and you've been so tolerant and you've been so dedicated to just taking care of what needed to be done for your service. And that's all you wanted to do, but you really took that special pain to pay attention to what needed to be done, and you went through it. It's very inspiring, and we are so happy to.
Spoken like a true doctor. Not only is he a doctor, she's a doctor, and they have 3 sons, and all of them are doctors.
Hare Krishna.
I'd love them to be part of this gathering. That's so great to all of you, to bless them and attract them to this beautiful Krishna conscious family.
Yeah, you're taking on the COVID just by your family.
Very well.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
You really made our day by coming and by speaking and just by being here. It's so wonderful. Thank you so much.
You both have such a lovely energy. You're so enthusiastic, so appreciative.
They're the cream of the crop.
It comes from Keshavarti Maharaj.
Like attracts like.
He's sending it from the Garden of England Yatra down there in Kent, all the way up to the forest of Nottinghamshire. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Amazing, amazing. So I just noticed that there's this one lady, if it's Galaxy A02S, but that is my friend Sudevi. Yeah, and she's giving a constant tour of her house, showing the deities and so many things and waving. So I'm just wondering, Sudevi, if you have a few words for Maharaj. Just unmute and just feel free to share your heart. She's always there in the readings.
Hare Krishna, Sudevi.
That's Sudevi Maharaj. There she is.
There she is. Haribol.
Live and kicking.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Wow, it's a miracle. I got this Zoom going. Please, Maharaj, accept my humble obeisances. Happy birthday, Haribol. Glories to your mother. Glories to all the assembled devotees. And it's going to be very quick. I just want to say I have an intense appreciation for your qualities, and I really enjoy every day being there, listening to you read the books. After all these years, I'm still a wannabe devotee, and you are purifying me, and I could feel it happening. And I was very moved by the story of your mother, since I lost my mother, but I could not be with her, so it's very hard. But your mom was very fortunate that you were there. And I just love everybody. This is great being here today. And Hare Krishna, everyone. I'm speechless to be in your presence because, like I said, I wish I was a better devotee, but it's going to happen because I believe what you say. So Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Sudevi Dasi. Thank you very much for your loyal hearing. Your big ears and big heart. You're always there every day. That's so wonderful. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
For being such a good example.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Rati.
Hare Krishna, you're welcome. So what about Shama Gauri? I mean, she's like the mother of the yatra there. Is she in the room or she's probably cooking?
She's in the kitchen just now, but we just need
Just
to, I would say we hand it over to Maharaj now, see how he's feeling, because we've been going for well over 4 hours now. So,
My, how time flies when you're having a great time.
Oh, yes.
what would you like, Maharaj?
I would like to take a 2-minute break
And continue.
and then continue.
Okay,
I'll
so
be right
that's what will happen.
I'll be right back.
So
Don't go away, please.
we'll hand you over
Please.
to our Radha Raman Prabhu and we'll just read a little bit just in the meantime.
I've
Please
got to
go
go
ahead.
through there though.
This one, Maharaj.
If someone else needs to take a quick break, feel free to do that. Just be back, please.